Hey everyone, welcome to my stream today. I am looking forward to this one a bit. A little bit nervous. It's been actually a while since I've sat down and coded in React for like longer than like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to whip up a quick demo. But I'm really excited to look at Remix Run. So I'm going to give everyone a couple minutes to join on. This is when people who have slick production and stuff actually have, some music playing in the background and let everyone join on the stream. But instead, you get to look at me sit here nervously and drink my drink. But if you're joining, come in, say hi in the chat. Let me know you're here. I'm just going to give this a moment. It's been 2 weeks since I last streamed. It came to my attention actually that the last time that I was on stream, I was demoing a bunch of concurrent stuff where like the whole key to it was how much how should I put it, like speed and performance smoothness, and it just wasn't coming in over the stream. I kept on saying stuff like, oh, look how smooth it is, and I rewatched the video and everything looked jagged and out of sorts, which is really unfortunate because it pretty much defeated the whole point. So if you did catch that stream, know that it was very smooth on my computer, and unfortunately it just didn't translate over to the stream. Them's the break, so to speak. I need to invest in better streaming setup, better streaming software, but that's just how it goes sometimes. All right. Nice. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining on the stream today. Okay, well, enough preamble here. Let's get started. I'm going to talk a little bit about this week in JavaScript. I'm going to share my screen here. As I said, it's been 2 weeks, so a lot of stuff's going to happen over that time. For me, it started actually a couple weeks ago. I dropped an article about a reactive script, this sort of idea of could we approach a reactive language, essentially, using basically purely the syntax of plain JavaScript. And I thought this was kind of interesting idea. No matter where you look, when you look at reactivity, the biggest problem is it drops off, essentially. It doesn't leave the file you're in, or someone destructures a prop or something. You always have all these situations where you can lose reactivity. So what if the language was just built for reactivity in a way that you couldn't lose it? That was sort of the idea here. Honestly, I don't know if it's actually viable. It might be confusing as hell, but after watching how people kind of quickly adapted to Svelte, it seems quite possible that you could use similar syntax and people would actually be amenable to it. I think it's weird to change the semantics of the language, but who knows? We also had our first solid community meeting, which was cool. Other than Discord has a 25-person limit, which we realized about 5 minutes into the call. There were so many people pouring in that we basically capped the call at 25. I'm sure there would have been, there probably would have been 40, 50 plus people in that community meeting, but we basically chopped them off. So we'll do better next time. And then, I think also obviously Learn with Jason did that session, but I wanted to dig into some stuff that's actually more interesting. Couple things that I thought was actually interesting this past week. Builder.io rebuilt their web page in quick and using party time, and I think this demo is actually really quite cool. I want to spend a moment to show this off before we get into the guts of our stream today. If you haven't seen this, this is like a full e-commerce style site here. Let's look at this for a second. Where is it? Builder.io, yeah, just their homepage, right? And obviously, like it is mostly static stuff. There's some links to sign up and a few other things. But can I show you something here? Like, look, there's a hamburger menu. This is fully interactive and everything, right? And let's reload that page again and look at the performance tab. Let me blow this up a little bit so you can see it better. But let's look at the network tab. let's refresh that page. And actually, let's just change it to just JavaScript. This page is fully interactive and actually only loads 1.7 kilobytes of JavaScript. I mean, you've seen this with Astro. And to be fair, that preload time is a little bit longer than I would like to be interactive. Like, you look, if I click it again, it's instant. But this is the danger of waiting everything to clicks. But if you look, this is actually pretty powerful stuff here. This is built with a quick framework, which is really quite cool. Basically no JavaScript on the page, and it just loads up. And the really cool part about this is this page has ads. It has stuff like this this was a Discord thing and a whole bunch of other like little layer-ons. And they've managed to reduce the load significantly thanks to Partytown. Google Analytics, all this stuff is actually there, but it's not slowing down their site. Getting 100, obviously, in Lighthouse is relatively easy to do in, like, when you just build a site, but this is everything. This has all the analytics, everything present that you'd expect, and they're just not getting hit by it. I think that the work they're doing at Builder is quite amazing in terms of pushing this stuff forward. The other thing that was cool this week was actually Ben Awad interviewed Dan Abramoff doing React coding questions and stuff, and some algorithm questions, and it was kind of funny. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It's pretty cool, I have to admit. I bookmarked it here, but essentially, Dan like whizzes through all the easy questions until there's a really hard one at the end. But I think the thing that got a lot of people kind of excited or interested was Ben asked him about Redux. I mean, it's been a few years, and people, to ask him about Redux. Check this little clip out. It's kind of funny, and I understand where he's coming from. But man, I empathize with the difficult position that Mark Erickson is in promoting and trying to contribute and keep Redux afloat when you have stuff like this happen.
Okay, so if you're starting a new project today, you would only use Redux if you had a piece of data where you could not figure out where to put it anywhere else. Like, Redux is the last place you're putting it, it sounds like.
Yeah, and maybe I wouldn't even use it then, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a little bit sensationalism there, but it was definitely a fun video. Do check it out. Yeah, this has just been, mostly I've watched a lot of videos this week. Essentially, that's been the thing between Dan's and all the Learn with Jason stuff. There's a great introduction to Remix with Ryan Florence there, and also Misco did a video about the Builder homepage, which is also a must watch. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it for this week in JavaScript. Let's talk Remix Run for a minute here, because I think I need to give this a little bit of a preamble before we actually get into building something. Mostly that this is kind of fun for me to kind of take a moment and look at Remix, because generally speaking, I am sorry, there's a comment here from a minute ago. Is there any audio issues? Just let me know in the chat if there is. It's kind of fun for me to come and look at this, because essentially I'm not really involved in the React community at all. I have no stake in it. I don't work on the React core team. I don't, have to watch my words. It's I said, I mentioned Dan works on React, so when he talks about a third-party library, it has impact. And basically, I get to look at this, and as I mentioned, like, Solid isn't really, it's just like a minuscule thing. Like, React's like this, and Solid's like this little thing. Maybe I can move my fingers apart a touch now in the last couple months. But essentially, we're just, there's no issue here. I actually love the work that's been going on here. And I feel like this gives me perspective to have some amount of expertise to look at a framework like Remix without having as much bias in terms of being competition or this being related at all to actually anything I do. So this is just pure fun. And I've always liked the work that Ryan and Michael have done, right from, early demos around React. I remember Ryan Florence doing early benchmark demo that was really interesting, and then even moving forward to work at all the work on React Router over the years. And every time I've watched every single beta preview video on Remix that I had. So this is not my first look at it. I've actually been trying to keep apprised on it, but I've never installed a project. I never had the license when it's closed source. So I did influence a couple of people close to me to buy the license and report back to me, so to speak. But I've yet to install the project yet. So, I'm just really stoked from what I've been seeing. And as I said, every time I watch Ryan or Michael talk, I feel like a bit of a kindred spirit. They somehow mix both the elements of pragmatic, kind of grizzled, experienced old developer with, this still being so excited about what's going on. You can see that excitement when they talk about Remix. It's tangible, and that's something that I can identify with a lot. So I'm super stoked to see what they've been kind of putting together, and see how what it does. The truth of the matter is, obviously I have a few biases kind of coming in that I have to address and put out front, even with that kind of open-minded thing. Mostly that, for me at least, the most interesting part about Remix is the nested routing and the way that they're handling progressive enhancement, the way that, especially with forms. A lot of the techniques that they use have existed for years and years, and you could even use them in React. So like, on one hand, I look at Remix and I'm like, well, this doesn't actually change the equation. It's still React. You could have always done that. You should have always been using good patterns. But, some of the libraries and stuff in React haven't always made that easy. So like, I think you kind of got to turn off the analytical side of the brain there a bit and be like, how does it feel? And that's sort of a bit what I want to get into today. As I said, those are the two main areas. And the first, nested routing, is something that I'm well familiar with. I wrote my first nested router back in 2014. And the thing is, when you don't have a virtual DOM, which can just key match when you switch page, nested routing is essential. So the first nested router that I saw on the client side was from Ember, and I used that back in 2012. And I'm pretty sure the original React Router 1 was very influenced by Ember router, and that was the same influence a lot of our work here. And as you know, Solid has a nested router very, very similar to React Router 6, and it's no coincidence. Mostly that nested routing was essential in a framework like Solid, where it in a VDOM you could get away with it until you don't want to, and that's the thing. The guys on Remix were like, we want to make React sites performant, and like, every time they were seeing their projects being used in places that they weren't, it kind of bummed them out. So like, no, this is the right way to build a website. And with that, I agree completely. So this is really cool. So I think one more thing before we kind of dig into the code is I just want to talk about the concept of nested routing for a minute, just to make sure everyone's familiar before we dig in and understand that this is actually where a lot of the performance gain is. The other API stuff is really nice. It looks nice. It's good patterns, like the way accessibility is good in terms of progressive enhancement. But the actual thing that is translating directly to performance here is nested routing. And I talked about this a little bit previously on my routing stream. But I think now that I have Excalidraw at my disposal, I think we can explain this a little better for those not familiar with this topic. Because honestly, every day in the Solid Discord, people ask me about nested routing, and we're not quite at a point now where I can just go, oh, look at React Router 6, or like some place that has better docs than the ones I managed to put together, because. Truth of the matter is, React Router had nested routing through V3, I think, and then they got rid of it in V4. So most people in the React ecosystem, that's like the last 3 or 4 years, have no idea that this is just the best way to do routing. And I'm so glad it's back in React Router 6. It definitely influenced our design. So let's do a quick example to kind of visualize or understand what nested routing is. And actually, I'm gonna use Twitter as an example, because this is a perfect example of a place where nested routing would be beneficial. And then we're just going to kind of take our Twitter example and explain it a bit using Excalidraw. As I said, I love teaching along these topics. And obviously, if you understand nested routing remix, well, you understand solid. We use the same stuff. So let's do that. Okay, so here's Twitter. Most of you have seen this, I'm sure. At the side, you have a sidebar navigation, right? And if I go to something like home, I swapped out my whole section, and the sidebar remained, but here is my main content. Now, when I go to my profile, it's now replaced that main content here. And you already see that something like the sidebar doesn't change, right? But we can go further. What if we have tweets, tweet replies, media, and likes? If I go to tweet replies, well, this panel changes, but we don't want to do anything here really, right? Because it would be wasteful. Now, a lot of times, classically with React, you're just like YOLO, like just go for it. Just redraw everything. VDOM's cheap. We'll key it up. We won't affect change. But like this wasn't a luxury of non-VDOM libraries, which is why nested routing came out. But so Remix kind of brought that in, and I'm going to use Excalidraw just so that we can, make this real again. I'm going to use the Twitter homepage as kind of our model, but essentially we have our Twitter page, we have our sidebar navigation, okay, and I'm going to call this layer 1. So this is the thing this is the root, right? And then we have, let's go in blue. This is our main content panel, right? And in our main content panel, we have our like hero thing. I'm just doing the user pane, and we have another navigation panel, right? Now, if I was more talented, I would draw nice stuff in. But then finally, we're going to add our third area, which is our content page section. There we go. Ta-da. 3 colors, 3 distinct zones, and they're actually in each other. You see that the black layer actually wraps the blue layer, which wraps the purple layer. This is a bit basically the thing. And okay, I can do like a little bit more. Let's add some buttons here. Let's fill them with a crosshatch or something. Can I do that? Yeah. Let's just, yeah, sure. Oh, wait, that's the wrong shortcut key. Just add some buttons on our section here. And similarly, we're going to add some buttons, do these ones with our blue, and add some more buttons, maybe nice cross-hatching there over here. Okay. So these are these nav buttons. Okay. So this is like our Twitter page, but this could be any page. Everyone's seen this before, right? You have the user page, and you got the user settings and the user profile and whatever, and you kind of just swap around. So here's my completely poor drawing. Now, as I mentioned, the trick to this whole nested routing thing is when you change like layer 1, then you have to re-render everything. If you change layer 2, then you only re-render this. And if you change layer 3, you only re-render this. That's all nesting routing is. This is different. And like if sometimes let's add. Can I just add some text here? Yeah, let's add some text there. Like let's pretend this was URLs. I didn't look at Twitter, but like let's say we're looking at user feeds, right? And let's give them an ID feeds. This is good. And then, when we change to the other thing, it's going to be, well, let's look here. What do we have? Replies. Okay, sure. Let's use replies. Replies, right? As long as I'm under user ID, I'm going to be drawn this blue section, and then the red section changes when I switch between feeds and replies, right? But there might be another section here that's like feeds altogether, right? And if there was a user listing page, maybe there's users. But if you notice, sometimes if you've ever seen apps where they have listing and then you click and go to the details, that's not nested routing. See, that's nested paths. Like these might share the same prefix, like they're both /users, but what makes it nested routing is that you actually draw the components inside each other. And the reason this is important, though, is because this informs you a lot about your page. And the best way to explain this is essentially, if you set up your page layout this way and tie your data loading to the specific sections of your page, at any point when you navigate, you know that say like if you go to user ID feeds, you know that you need to load Twitter, you know you need to load the user information, and you know you need to load the feeds simply from the URL. Like you've encoded that information. And sure, you can encode that without using nested routing. But because you've defined these separate entry points in your routes and potentially separate data loading mechanisms with your routes, you can just fetch all the data up front without having actually gone there yet. Like if you didn't have the nested routing, you'd have to wait for the parent to render the child and render the child. And we've got code splitting and lazy loading. And you end up with this waterfall thing where you go, okay, I load Twitter, and then I have to load the user panel. And then I go, okay, well, load the code for the user panel. And then, okay, now I'm going to fetch some data for that user panel and load the code for the feeds. And then I'm going to, now I got the code for the feeds. Now I got to fetch the feeds. You end up with this cascading effect. And what's really cool about nested routing, where you can just set up the data loading as part of the route definition, is you can just go, oh, you're going there. I know exactly what to load right off the start. You navigate there and you load it all in parallel. You load the components and you load the data all in parallel. Obviously, there's other ways to stop the waterfall. A lot of things like Next.js have like that link hover preloading and whatnot. But what I'm trying to get at here is that that's all fancy, but that also has like interesting things. Like, do you have to worry about the cache on the preload and all that kind of stuff? Like this pure simple mechanism of using nested routing gives you all the information you need for your page up front. And with, you can do lots of stuff with it. You can know that if you do keep stuff, in a cache or a global store, if you are editing stuff on this page, well, you know exactly what data you need to refetch simply because of the route you're on. And as I said, this is the power of nested routing. This approach has existed for 8-9 years in JavaScript, but a lot of stuff in React is like, good enough, right? And thankfully, the guys responsible for Remix were like, no, not good enough. Let's do something about this, right? And as I said, there's a lot of same motivation, right? We have the same system in Solid. It is the way to do things. I'm super stoked to see React get this kind of stuff, because when it comes to React, that means it's on people's radar. You can sit here on a soapbox and spill it for ages, and no one's going to listen to you if because they're on React and it just doesn't apply to them. But good performance and good practices on the web are universal. So that's part of the reason why I'm so excited about Remix. So this is a little bit of an intro for nested routing for people. Okay, so yeah, comment here. I mean, V4 still hadn't nested routing, but it just wasn't not at the top level. Okay. Yeah. I mean, how do I they didn't have the way to define it all in one place anymore. They used to originally, but then you can nest stuff, but the nesting, when I was talking about nesting routing, and you can still do this in V6, like you can make a component and put a router in it, and then in that component make a router in it, make a router in it. The whole key for nested routing, at least what I'm talking about, is being able to define it in one place so that you can have this kind of knowledge. As I said, it's an older pattern, but React kind of moved away from it. So yes, you could nest routes, to be fair. And I'm overplaying, I guess, a little bit like the key thing a bit, but there, like, people did nest routes and did do this. It just, the power of doing up front is really what makes Remix special. And this kind of route declaration, to be fair, outside the React community, this sort of nesting routing, like you see in Remix, is de facto the common thing. Like, it's funny, Next doesn't do the nesting routing like this, I believe, but Nuxt does. Svelte historically did not, but I believe they have nested routing in SvelteKit. Ember is nested routing. It was just, for some reason, React really liked the fact that, like, how dynamic you could make the function DSL to the components. So, like, it was a pattern, and then people moved away from it because they're like, oh, we can distribute stuff. But here's the thing: routing is the backbone of your application. And while, you know, it's great to have these patterns where you can distribute stuff, and I'm all about aggressive co-location, I mean, it just inherently leads to waterfalls. And if done well, you can actually benefit here. Like, the benefits of what I just explained is obviously easy to see for something like server rendering, let's say, or you know, client-side navigation. You don't want to, like, but like, where you can just start this the fetch ahead of time for all the pages and then just go render it. Because if you've seen classically something like Next.js had something called like pre-pass, where essentially you would render a page to figure out, like, what requests needed, and then basically use that data to then render it for real again. And what Remix has done here is hoist that out up front. It's more efficient to just do the data fetch and then do the rendering. But honestly, that's not the end of the story. That's Remix today. But what I've been doing with Solid, and what Remix is, I have no doubt, is going to go to very soon when React supports it, is you can start the fetch early and then feed it into suspense components and as it's rendering on the server. And in so, basically have the ability to start all the fetching as soon as you get the request from the server, start streaming the response out, and then fill it in as it comes in, essentially. So have, like, non-blocking server-side rendering with the fetching happening up front as soon as possible. That's the dream, right? As I said, that's what we do with Solid. Remix will be doing it soon. I'm positive. Yeah, nested routing, yes, it takes away a bit, but you could still nested routers, if that makes any sense. Like, you can still do the React router 5 trick and put them in your components, so you can still have teams operating independently in their own subsection of the routes and doing all that. It's just, you don't have the same ability to link it all up at front that you have when you do it all top level. But, you know, at a certain point and a certain scale, like, you just don't get that benefit of being able to do everything up front. It just, this pattern works really well in the small to medium case and still doesn't break apart when you go big. That's essentially all I'm saying. Okay, so sweet. So that's my little spiel on nested routing. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I feel like they've done a decent job of explaining it, but you never know, especially if I'm going to cover some of this stuff today. So let's get started with Remix. Big thing here, as I mentioned, I've never installed a Remix project yet, so don't expect huge revelations coming from my side in terms of advanced features and stuff and all that. I am literally doing this mostly so that I can get a feel for what they have going. And honestly, my plan here is mostly around running one of these tutorial docs, I think, and we're going to kind of get a feel for, like, some of the features. I think they should show off, you know, a couple of the key features. And then I was thinking, let's just take that demo that I do all the time, that Hackernews demo. I haven't seen a Hackernews demo in Remix. Let's just make the front page, right? I recently saw one with Next.js and server components. I have the solid streaming one. Let's just make a Remix one and see what we can do with it. So let's do this getting started thing and see what that's all about. All right. Make sure to read the README. Yes, you watch the Learn with Jason. Yeah, if you don't read the README, you know, bad stuff can happen. Yeah, let me see here. And actually, I didn't showcase it off. If you haven't seen it, the Remix website is pretty awesome. They've done this cool scrolling effect where things, you know, usually I'm not a huge fan of this, but yeah, I mean, they're showing stuff. I'm zoomed way in, so maybe it doesn't look as good, but like having these active demos while you scroll, right? Basically, a lot of the stuff that Remix is doing, you know, in terms of the loading and all that stuff and their transition stuff, is actually a lot of at the similar purposes of suspense and transitions, which you're familiar with if you use Solid and are coming in React 18. Remix kind of just went around that and just made it themselves. I am interested to see if they actually change their approach to leverage these React 18 features once they kind of grok how to put them in. I actually think that Remix's core approach and the React 18 features are actually really suitable pairing. They're kind of not completely on board there yet, but I mean, to me, it's actually very obvious how they could benefit from each other. And as I said, that's why, in a sense, Solid Start, our starter, is essentially that. It's that mixture of those things. I think that's the way to go. So I'm really excited to see as Remix starts embracing more of those React mechanisms. But yeah, so let's get started. MPX Create Remix latest. They have these two starters, and I probably should pick the more advanced one. I'm going to do the quick start one though, because I feel like this might be just my easiest way to go. So let's just get going here. What is it? MPX Create Remix at latest. Yeah, and actually, did it say anything? Do I need to go into the folder? Okay, let's just follow the CLI and hope I don't just put everything everywhere. Do I want to proceed? Yes. Nice touch. Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's call it My Remix App. Yeah, why not? And I want to remix app server from what I read. Oh, and you can actually choose where you want to deploy to. That's interesting. Okay. I'm gonna go remix app server. I'm pretty sure in all the tutorials they say important you pick remix app server. Yeah, it says that in every single tutorial. TypeScript or JavaScript? What does the tutorial use? I can use TypeScript. I don't love using TypeScript, but I can use it. The tutorial uses TypeScript. Guess what? We're going to use TypeScript. All right. Let's do this. All right. Give it a moment. Probably won't be that long. Pretty much everything in the world is faster than Create React App these days. Yeah, see, that's nothing. Okay. And we're going to actually open our workspace. Development examples, My Remix App. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Yes, yeah, I'm going to trust the authors. All right, so, okay. TS config, remix config, remix MDD. Okay, yeah, pretty standard. And then we got a public folder, probably static assets. Node modules already installed, and then we have our app. So this is like the source folder. Okay, cool. So root TSX, import a bunch of components from Remix, links functions, some global styles. They have an app entry point. that has a document layout outlet. Okay. And then they have an error boundary, which has a document with a specific layout in it. And then not sure the difference between error boundary and catch boundary, but they have great links to the documentation. This is really smart. And then the document itself, hydrated from the head. This is a cool trick. This is the first time I actually saw this was with Remix. I ended up copying it with Solid, but this is really nice because you basically get a bunch of, you can just like insert the stuff where you want, and like if you want to turn off JavaScript, just remove the scripts. I always kind of joke to people because MPA frameworks like Marko or Astro, they start with 0 JavaScript and they progressively add just the JavaScript you need when you need it, and and quick, which I already demoed at the beginning. That's really, really powerful, and it's completely game changing in terms of the way you view your app. Whereas like it's a single page app kind of style thing, like what Solid Start, SvelteKit, Remix doesn't, it's much more binary. So I often kind of use this joke that like, oh, if you don't want JavaScript, just remove the script tags. I actually love that Remix just makes it like that easy where you can just remove the script tags. I don't know, scroll restoration is new, and live reload, both of these I did not see at the time of the beta demo. I've watched a lot of videos on Remix, and I haven't seen these. I'd be obviously interested to know what scroll restoration does. So maybe we'll look at that. I'm pretty sure I understand what live reload does. And then the layout component. Yeah, it's interesting to set the default. It makes it less noisy. So I got to give them some props like this to just kind of split out. Like they could have stuck the whole, like the doc, like these aren't exports. These are just a choice to make this more manageable for you. The cool thing about this is you might never really touch much in root TSX. Maybe just the layout. I guess that's not true. You touch the layout, but I guess that's why the decision there. They split this off. So you're like, okay, I'm going to leave the document stuff. It's pretty standard. And then I'm going to do the layout, and they just keep it in the file because, like, truth of the matter is, once you configure this, it's a little set and forget, I imagine. You kind of just move on to authoring your app. But I think this is kind of cool. SVG. Yeah, this just is a nice little highlight here. Yeah, document, layout, and then, yeah, sorry, actually, this is the real one. And then outlet. And outlet, what is outlet? Outlet is the nested routing. I was showing all the stuff with the nested routing, but the key to nested routing is you need to tell the component where to drop the stuff, right? Like if you define all the routes up front, or you need a place to, and you notice that there's no routes here. That's because I'm positive they're using file-based routing. So you just make the decision. You're just like, where do I draw my content, and that's it. Remix takes care of the rest for you. So this is definitely pretty cool. Entry server and entry client is how they give you access to the entries. Cool. Pretty straightforward. It's just the kind of, how should I put it, the boilerplate. I don't know if I would ever, I mean, maybe some server stuff you might want to change. I don't know if you'd ever really touch much in here. I mean, a little nice touch here is that they're just giving you the request and response objects here, and this isn't like Express or anything specific. If you've done any work with like Cloudflare workers or like anything like that, it's getting super common in those environments to just use like the universal like web request and response objects. And by doing this here, it's really nice abstraction because you can just you still, how should I put it? You still have control over what you're sending, like if it's not completely abstracted away from you, but it's not, you can write it a certain way and then like not really worry about whether like it's a node backend or whatnot. So this is a nice little mix. So I said, in a sense, these two files for most projects could just like get thrown off a cliff and you never even need to look at them. But the fact that they're here gives a certain level of flexibility. I think that's cool. I wonder if slotted outlets could be interesting for some experiences. Slotted outlets. Do you mean like named outlets almost? like not just the one outlet, like parallelized routing. Just gonna give Dylan a chance to clarify if that's the case. Ember had some stuff like that where you could do like double nested routing and stuff. I think it's interesting. I hadn't really come to I haven't hit that scenario myself, but actually today in the Solid Discord, Joe Pia was actually talking about exactly this and using schemes in the URL to like have multiple apps controlling the path, which I mean, I thought it looked pretty crazy, but I mean, technically it could work. So yeah, and we actually did a little experiment to see if we could do that with Solid App Router, and we could, which, you know, it wasn't named outlets though. We did nested routes essentially, or which is like the cross route definition cross outlet component. And given that that works, I wouldn't be surprised if React Router 6 could do the same thing because it's the same architecture more or less. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question and definitely one to get the brain thinking a bit. Anyways, let's keep on going here. Styles, some stuff, and routes. Yeah, index, which is probably just slash. You know what? Let's run this app to see what it looks like because I feel like we'll have more to say or look at when we actually look at what this app's doing. So, or actually, no, sorry, read the README. I already forgot. npm run dev. There we go. We're in the right place. All right, localhost 3000. Nice. And let me see if I can get us into. It's going to need to. Oh, I like this. They have automatic detection for dark mode. You can tell. I'm always in dark mode, but I've seen this demo and I saw it white before, and that this actually makes sense. Okay, so we have a oh right, demos in this app. Nice. Do we have an act? Oh, beautiful. Okay. What's more useful when it's broken? An egg? I don't know. Okay. We got to look at that. And okay, cool. This still has enough stuff in it, which is actually really good because I'm not gonna lie, I have a tendency a lot of demos, you know, just to have like a counter on it or a spinning logo or some kind of garbage like that. This looks like it has some functional stuff in it, which I guess makes sense for meta framework stuff. You have the router, you have all the pieces already there for you, so like why not, right? Okay, so let's look at what they have. I know their demos have some more stuff in it. Yeah, you can see the post request down here. Nice. Okay. Let's look at the code here. So we have a demos / about / parameters. Okay, and then you already see the nested routing at work here. If you have a folder and a file that have the same name, this is how you tell the nested router that it should do that, because you can have, you know, a folder like about here, or about is one actions params. Okay, these are actually mostly nested. That's interesting. You can have a folder and then have a bunch of files in it, and like that's not nesting it. The trick to get it nesting is you actually need to have a parent component that matches it. And if you look in this about component, what you're going to see is an outlet, and that outlet is where it tells the parent where to insert / which is the default here at index, or whoa. So this is essentially the trick to nested routing. And let's go back to our demo and see if we can find where that is. Nested routes. Oh, okay, they're using the CSS only import. It's only including this route and its children. Okay. Okay, let's look here a second. So what do we have going on about? Okay, so here's the route, and then it goes all the way down to read all about nested, and then there's an outlet. And then in the outlet, okay. Okay, yeah. So they're just swapping out this section without re-rendering the rest of the page. So not anything too fancy, but you can kind of see that. Look at the URL /about whoa, and only this part of the page is changing. And obviously, like a VDOM diff can do this anyways, as I mentioned before, but just know that essentially it's only re-rendering these components. These aren't being touched. You know where you are. Okay, interesting. Okay, cool. So nested routing isn't, we kind of already have gone over that a significant amount. So let's look at something else. The links at the top of the parent page for the CSS overrides. Let's look at that. Okay, so, okay, no, this is just a, okay, about TSX, what did we do here? Styles, meta. So they set the title this way. So this is how they're handling meta. That's neat. You notice a bunch of uses of export named things as a way to essentially get your configuration in your component. At some point, I would love to like dissect the output bundle and see how they're code splitting this. But if they're minifying and stuff, it might be hard to do this. One of the, I'm sure they're using virtual modules of some side. One of the tricky things always with this is parts of a page should belong in the main bundle and parts should belong in the nested bundle and the code splitting. So it takes a little bit of work to actually make sure that it actually goes that way, because the problem is when you lazy import a file, you don't get the code split anymore. You bring the whole thing in, right? Even if you're just trying to get the default export, and you kind of, I mean, this is nothing, but you don't want to import this when you do that. You want this to be part of maybe the main bundle, or what the thing that can, not this one maybe, but like the thing that can be parallelly fetched, like we talked about earlier. And you want the component to be lazy loaded, but not bring in a bunch of extra JavaScript you don't need. But yeah, so let's see here. Yeah, rel style sheet. So this is the trick right here. They're adding the link to the head essentially when you navigate to this page, and then when you navigate away, it goes. So this is basically like their React helmet or whatever approach using these name things. This is pretty nice and pretty slick. Especially because it gives you this kind of page focus thing. Like, sure, you can have components and do all that kind of stuff, I'm sure, but this, like, the power here is in the pages. Okay. Yeah, definitely cool. Okay. Now I want what's correct. You got it right. Yeah. And params. I didn't see that one. We'll see what that one is. The one that I want, actually, maybe I'll do params first. What's this? Okay. This is more routing fun. So I hope you can. I can blow this up a little bit, but I don't think the URL bar gets to blow up. So let's see what we can do here. Demos params. So param1. Okay. Yeah. So you're seeing. Yeah. So here's the thing to understand. See, because the params page is like the parent page. This whole section is getting replaced. So they're under the same thing. This will be a 404, 401. This one will throw an error, and you caught the error. Okay, cool. So what does that look like? Because params essentially, again, the links and everything, this bar is part of the parent layout. And then in here, we have, okay, there we go. We have a dynamic section, and we have index page. So the index page is the one where they explain everything that we saw. And then they have this dynamic section. So they're not using the same syntax as next or Nux. They're using, it looks like $sign for a dynamic section. So $ID probably is the dynamic section on your thing. So for people to understand what this means, is this route is demos/about/params. Sorry, not /about. Sorry, it's demos/params/ what wildcard ID is, right? So everything we do here, the 1, the 2 gets passed in over the params here. And then based on the ID, they're simulating a bunch of stuff in this loader function. We haven't talked about the loader functions, but essentially at the top of their files, they have essentially another export they can use, which is loader. I got to get used to these export lets. I realize that this just doesn't matter, but it's funny. I develop in reactive languages, and with reactive stuff like signals and things, you never actually reassign it. You always you always set it. So I almost use const religiously because everything is a const. Like literally everything is a const, except for refs. There's like no lets. So this is less characters. So I'll give them that. It's just for some reason I don't know why I found that jarring. But it's funny. All right, so this record does not exist. Yeah, okay, so where am I going here? Okay, and then in here, use loader data, and this hook will pull the data from the loader, whatever you return. You could this I believe this runs on the server, and what they do is they use basically they wire it so when you call this on the server side, it just runs the function, but then when you're on the client, it actually aliases it, and you can see it right here, all the stuff we were doing. It aliases it to basically like an API call, and that way you just write this, runs on the server, then essentially ta-da, you get the data isomorphically, and you don't have to really worry about it. So you can write SQL queries or whatever the hell you want in the loader, and then ta-da, you have in your component, and it runs on both client and server as needed. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I guess that's the point of this demo. I mean, they have this catch boundary, which is, I guess, their way of defining error boundaries. So this is interesting. So, oh no, this is error boundary. I gotta understand the difference here between a fetch. I guess the catch boundaries are for things that aren't actually errors. Things that aren't actually errors, but like if you've ever used like a request library, I remember this being a big deal in Super Agent back in the day. Like classically, the request doesn't fail if you get a bad response. It just like as long as the request doesn't fail, it has an error. You can get like a bad error status or something, but if request doesn't fail, it's only an error if it actually fails making the request. And at some point, they decided to switch that suddenly. So any like non 200 or 300 response would cause like the callback or the promise to reject or whatever, and it just caused havoc everywhere. And it was just kind of it was kind of funny and chaotic. So yeah, I think it's obviously probably need to read more about this, but I think that's why there's this separation, because these things are gracefully able to be handled, and these things are like something went wrong. Right. This is interesting. This whole idea of like all this the exports defining a structure. I know there's a few other libraries that do this. I think maybe is it Redwood that does it. The first time I actually saw this kind of structure was something Sean Swix or whatever was proposing. He was kind of looking at how you could like break things apart into almost like single file components. What I like about this is it's the pages are really the only place that are naturally like this in React, so you can make use of it here, but you're not like yeah, I think that makes sense in the sense that the default exports the component and then all these other things. Anything else you don't have to actually export, so it works fine. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Okay, so Now, the last one that I want to look at here is actions, just to get a feel for. Let's see here. Actions are about forms, and I don't know if how far deep we want to go into it, but essentially, we already saw the action earlier when I went to the actions page, and it asked me the question. Let's see what happens if I get it wrong. Let's put something random answer. Sorry, random is not right. And then when I get it right, you got it right. Okay, so redirect. So let's use that information and see and kind of look at what's happening here. Right. So action gets the form request data, and this is the actual form. Like this is the actual request. So they're actually getting like the standard DOM form data off the request, and form get the answer, checks the answer. Okay, so this all runs on the server, and then if you get it right, they redirect you. Otherwise, they return a JSON response. Okay, now that's cool. So it controls. You don't always have to do like you can redirect or return JSON. I wonder how it handles it if the JavaScript's off, but I guess it doesn't because it knows. Oh, yeah, that's clever, right? Because if JavaScript's off and you click on the whole reason forms are interesting here is because if you have no JavaScript on your page, the only way you get to update things like is you click on anchor tags to navigate to a new place. That's like your get, or you do forms and you post, and then it goes to the server and returns like, with some data, and then it comes back. So if you want a page to work with no JavaScript, you have to wrap all your interactivity in a form, essentially. So using this model here is what they've done here. But this is a little bit fancier than that, right? Because essentially, with JavaScript, you can handle the stuff, in the browser. You there's the redirect here, but maybe it'd be nice to dig into that as well. But you can handle JSON coming back. But if this is on the server and it's like a full page post, like they'll know that, and then they don't have to respond with the JavaScript. They can just render it on the server with the updated data. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah. Let's turn off JavaScript and test that. It's a great idea, Dylan. That's what I'm doing here. I'm just saving you time from trying this stuff yourself. Let's do that. So it should be in the top level layout component here. Not app. It should be in the document, search docu. Oh, I'm in like the wrong window. Document. All right. Not document. No, it's in document. It's in actual. God, document is the worst thing I can search for. It's literally in every single freaking. Okay, there we go. Scripts. That should do it. I mean, no, I want to do random here. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay. I had to refresh the page because I have to make sure it's not there. Let's actually open something and actually see this happening. Right? I wonder what that code is. It's fine. Let's prettyify this. But yeah, I mean, essentially, what you can see here is what's happening is when I'm clicking this button, clear everything, it's actually doing a full page reload and re-rendering this. Right. Whereas when you have the scripts enabled, It actually already reloaded here. When I have my error, instead of re-rendering a page, this is just going to be the payload. The JSON is handled smoothly. Yeah, this little thing is very nice. I mean, it's interesting because everything should be a form from a progressive enhancement standpoint, but I wonder what happens. Like I work on a lot of apps. This is not the world that I work in traditionally, and I'm trying to picture like wrapping every button in an individual form. This setup is really set up for the page to have a single form and view the post back page. I mean, this takes me back to when I worked on .NET a lot. Yeah, definitely. But I like the options here. This is one of the things that I wasn't sure. I was like, well, is everything just going to be a redirect or something? But you get the ability to play it both ways, which is really cool. How are they updating text without a redirect? Well, they reload the whole page. Like when you have JavaScript off, you're actually doing a full. I think you're doing like a full page reload. Like you're actually posting and handing the reins over to the server, and then they re-render the whole page and send it back to you. So yeah, where was I? Okay, so yeah, I mean, this is nice, and this is just coming from my framework perspective, because people who are in the solid community know I've been playing with different actions. I've been playing with RPCs and like thinking of ways. The premise here from Remix standpoint, looking at this, is that there is only one loader and there's only one action. This has sort of been what's been crippling me to make these kind of these decisions, right? Because this is super powerful, right? But like, is it limiting? Like, do I want to be able to post multiple different things? Do I want to load from multiple different granular endpoints or granular data sources that can all stream in independently and all this stuff? That's something that cripples me. The thing is, this is so nice from the like 95% case thing, that you just go, here's my loader, here's my actions, and like, yeah, that keeps things really simple. Yeah, no, yeah, you do have a point. What must be happening is they have to, you have this hook with use action data, right? And they must somehow be like know that it's a post back. Yeah. Yeah, like, do we need to reverse use action data and see what it's doing? Let's see. What do we got in here? QRS, whatever. Where my remix? Load. Let's see if we can backtrack. Use. Oh, okay, so this has probably got some kind of export. Yeah, okay, so that's not going to help me. Server. No. Actually, maybe I should just look at the TypeScript to know what. Okay, so no, that's server specific stuff. Client server platform. Okay. Because this is just okay. So everything's in the client here, even if it's server too. So and this is found in remix run /react. This is interesting because do you know what this suggests? I mean, they've been saying it, but I mean, it's tied to React, but they did author it in a way that React is outside of the main bundle. Right? So like essentially that is interesting. I know they're working on Preact. Someone was like kind of nudging them and being like, "Hey, Svelte," you know. And we were actually talking today with Marko. We're like, Marko, solid. Who knows? I think it's interesting. I think one of the tricky parts is so much the backbone of this is based on the router, and sometimes the routing isn't compatible with the other frameworks as easily. So that might be the challenge there. But like Preact, I can definitely see, and I'm sure it's coming. But some of the others, but they have at least tried to keep these things separate. So yeah, where are we going? We're going to remix run React. Remix run React. All right, nice. Nice. I wonder what the server.js is in here. Okay, I should just trust TypeScript. It's going to tell me everything I need to know. Route data, no. How about actions? Oh, here we go. Use. Okay, so that's from the React router. Okay, so this is where they do all the aliasing. Okay, use action data from components. Action data. Okay. Yeah, okay. Action transition manager get state. So there's a transition manager and there is a route context. Okay. Transition manager. Did I get that wrong? Use remix entry context. Remix entry context. I'm just being a vetting person. Yeah, maybe I'm trying to dig a little bit too much. Remix entry. Either that or I should be remix entry context. Okay, yeah, that doesn't tell me much, does it? I mean, it's just a context. I was trying to like get the shape of it, but it looks like, obviously I'm not, if I was looking at the source code like on GitHub, I'd probably have a better chance here. This has already been kind of separated out. So we only see the DTS for the exported interfaces. I mean, let's see if like this is internal. We probably don't get to see the types here. Anyways, yeah, let's move on from this. As I said, I imagine that when they know that the page is being there because of a post request, because the client didn't just do like a Ajax request, but actually like the request is actually like a full-on form post. They're able to go, okay, when we re-render the response here, we'll use the data through the hook and just return just assume that without a redirect, we're always going to re-render the current page with the data hooks, So, okay, let's keep on going. Okay, so I mean, that's the gist of it here. I mean, you can put anything in here, but I think that's pretty cool. I think this is about as far as I want to go with that. Let's let's look at building something from scratch here. Yeah, let's just gut this baby. And I think in one of the tutorials they actually have like they actually like mention like about gutting it. I don't know. Yeah, you know what? Screw that. We'll figure it out. Okay, let's delete everything. Let's we need routes. Let's just do it. You would say that. Let's go on to our next phase. Let's just see if we can throw together a Hackernews clone or something here. Just the main page. I don't have the code all prepared for this, but I'm pretty confident that I will be able to port one of my existing Hackernews clones very quickly into React and using these patterns because it's very familiar for me the way this works. Okay, so I guess the first question is, okay, all this looks good. And then these styles, and this is how you get the global styles. Okay, cool. So, and I might not even mess with that. I might just dump all the styles in here. Okay, cool. I actually don't even need this index.route. Probably, maybe I'll leave the loader around for a minute for reference. But let's look here. Client and this, we're not going to need the touch. Root, we will. I'm just going to get rid of, I'm going to leave global style. I'm going to get rid of this one because it's fine. And I'm going to clear out demo, delete, move, that's fine. And then what else are we going to do here? Document layout outlet seems like a good pattern. We'll leave the errors. They're fine. Catch boundaries seem perfectly fine. Okay, document head. Okay. Interesting. Okay, I'll leave that for now. Leave this for now. Let's just quickly pull up something for reference here. I have solid Hackernews example, and I hopefully can just, sorry, I'm doing some experimenting with streaming here. Let's just go to the source code. Vercel. Okay, so we go to our root TSX. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so no suspense, but that's fine. Outlet scripts, same header. Yeah, I just had a hard fix header. I don't think there's anything fancy we need here. No service worker. Let's just grab the CSS here. It's already minified. Let's just dump that in global CSS. And then actually it looks like it's like complaining that I still have the demo open where it's a 404. Let's just go localhost. Go. And then root TSX. I made a nav component in solid for this. I'm just going to copy the component over. And I mean, this is React, so this isn't just going to work obviously out of the thing. We're going to have to do a little work here, but the nav component is going to be pretty similar. I think all the hrefs become 2, and all these server onlys get deleted. Partial hydration trick we have going. And all the classes become class name. everything else probably looks fun, and it's built with Remix now. And it's not solid app router. It's well, let's look at their root. What are they? Is it just Remix? Yeah, okay. Remix. All right. Sweet. Converted to solid. What's wrong with this too? What's your problem? That's unusual. Oh, because it's an actual anchor. My bad. All right. This is the only one that's actually not two. Okay, sweet. So now we have a nav component, and presumably we will be able to just bring that in here, import nav from components nav, sweet. And now in our layout, is it even in our layout? Do we want this? I think it's in our layout. Yeah, we just remove all of this lovely remix stuff. Where's the outlet? Why am I seeing it? There's an outlet here somewhere. Or props children. Props children is what we need. Where is children? Children. Where are you, children? Fine. We can look for it. Okay. Fine. We'll just cut this. And then just go fragment. Put our nav in here. And our children. Okay. Is our stuff looking okay? We're half and half. See, we got some Hackernews going here, but not quite yet. Okay, so let's keep on going. Okay, so okay, that's all I really care about for the main layout. That's reusable part. So now we're going to be, we can get rid of this remix logo, I guess. Okay, now we need a wildcard route, not a dynamic section, but we need an actual full-on wildcard route here. So let's take a look here. I'm sure they support it. I know the routing convention for it, it's star. So let's go back here and look. Oh, conventions. This is beautiful. Let's see routes. Yes, I want that. I want star. So how do I do star? File name conventions. Here we go. Special files. Okay. Let's find route file names. Routes star dot. No, but that's not it. That's just telling me that I can make my routes that. $param. Okay, we already saw this. Yeah. Oh, interesting. So if you just don't put a parameter and just put a $, it becomes a catch-all. Huh. Okay. Okay, let's give this a shot. Because the interesting thing is in this, what I'm trying to build here is we have the main page, right? And here I'm using a splat because I actually want to grab the stories. And if it's blank, you know, basically the reason that you can't just use a parameterized route, if you've ever been to a Hackernews demo, is see there's the homepage is slash and then slash new, but this is this, but it's still the same page. So I want to support both slash and a parameterized route. And usually a parameterized route will not match on it. You need to use a star if you actually want to get the whole thing. So yeah, let's do that. I guess it's good I did choose TypeScript. The solid example is in TypeScript too, although it's probably going to be a pain in the ass more when we do a bit more stuff. Okay, so let's go here. So our routes, we don't want index.ts. We want we want rename to $TX. And I'm going to leave the loader here for now. And I'm not going to worry about meta. We can, whatever. And default, okay, use loader data. This part I think is going to be the same. Use data, stories data. Yeah, so this is basically the same thing. Okay, so let's before we worry about how we use the data, let's just make a giant blob of JSX and copy this over. Again, we're gonna have to do a little bit of conversion here because this is solid and React does not have a show component. So we gotta, and okay, so let's do all the class equals. Class name. And okay, so let's start getting busy with curly braces. Okay, let's assume that we're gonna have some of these variables. So when page is bigger than 1, then we need to do all of this. And then otherwise do this. Nasty as hell, but format doc, and so we have prettier on our side. And then all these href equals are now 2 equals. And then I'm going to assume that we're going to have a type, and get rid of the extra function calls because it's all these are signals, but in here this will not be. And then stories, okay. And then same deal again. Curly braces, stories. It's kind of interesting. Ternary operators are nice and all, but for stuff like this, they're just like so much more verbose, especially when you get prettier involved and you like gotta like find the blocks inside the JavaScript instead of just being like these solid, like just consistent markup blocks. That. And then these are going to be type page, and then this is probably why people do like preparation ahead of time. But you know me, I do these streams so I don't have to prepare. I'm much too busy. And actually, this one there is no fallback, so it's just stories and this. I suspected that I'd be able to just convert solid into React, like demo this simple, like easily. So, right, and then the 4 becomes stories dot map story. Short one like this. All right, curly braces. Well, this format for me. It's on the wrong side. Oh, this is just so that's fine. Okay, so essentially we are just missing our data here. So let's make our data layer. We use this loader function, and we're probably I'm gonna copy this from Solid's demo here. I'm just gonna go types.ts, I think. Let's see. Is it same difference? Okay, beautiful. I can do TypeScript too. I've been using TypeScript for like 2.5 years now, I think, and I still I feel people like one day you're gonna like hit the curve and it's just gonna work for you, and I'm like 2.5 years later, like no, I don't think I'm ever gonna like TypeScript. But let's just keep on going. Okay, so meta function need loader. Oh, right, types. Yeah, it's like, why am I importing all this stuff? It's TypeScript fault. All right. And then let's give stories data something. These won't be functions because they're React. All right. My story is types. And we'll have to import story too. Oh, it's because stories. This is the only problem with doing it like this. We actually have to. I'm trying to do it as fast as I possibly can, but like let's face it here. Like I'm still doing a huge amount of coding on the fly here, not knowing if this is going to work or not. But I'm just optimistic, right? See, yeah, beautiful. So bear with me. This might be a little bit boring part, but we're going to make this work. Because story is the same deal again. Okay, beautiful. Okay, so this becomes remix. This becomes nothing. How does remix handle? How does React? Yeah, whatever. YOLO. Do this. Do this. I'm like in the wrong file. Sorry. Same idea. We're probably not even gonna get to comments. We're gonna go do story here. Here, props. There's probably nicer ways to do this with React. As I said, I have never programmed in React with TypeScript before, so this is just seat of my pants trying to do this. But I have confidence because React is such a great framework, and I'm already familiar with a lot of this stuff that we will be able to just figure this out. All right. And this. See, if this all goes well the way that I'm hoping it will, in a couple minutes here, we're going to have a fully working main page of Hackernews, just blindly copying the stuff over. Oh, right. I'm going to need because there's no component wrapper, I'm going to need to add an extra fragment here. Interesting. It's like funny little benefits you get from using components to do control flow. You just don't notice otherwise. This is the stream I should do when people are like, why do you use control flow in Solid? Because it's just way nicer for handling like random like blocks of HTML. Let's format that. Yeah, okay. Here, let's do this. be fair, like this is mostly all just boilerplatey kind of stuff here that I'm doing, that it's like really matter what syntax you use. I think being too concerned with syntax is overrated if it doesn't have a mechanical implication, right? Like, who cares what you're typing? There we go. And then the last one. All right. All right, this one can be an and because there's no or. Sometimes is it's like when I was doing the demo, I wrote an article about what do you call it, to-do MVCs, and I had to like just make my own to-do MVCs in all of them because I was doing a size comparison, and the solid version was like much smaller than the Preact and React version, and there's like no reason for it. So sometimes I just end up liking doing stuff myself. But, did I undo everything in here? Yeah, we're probably never going to get to the comments, so I don't really care. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's rebuilt. Like, that's not ours. We're not that far yet. Where are we? Okay, sweet. That's about where we should be. There's an error because we haven't loaded data. So let's get some data going here. All right. Where is our loader? Okay. So back to remix, loader. Okay. So loader function just returns data. Is that it? Yeah, return. Okay, so this is the trick. JSON. Okay, beautiful. Okay. So we just need to, oh, I mean, this is going to be like the, this is going to be the, let's see what arguments are here, because I don't know what they are. Tell me, or am I going to have to reload the page? So this is borked already. Oh, it's because I'm an arrow function. Whatever. It's really mad at me. I did something very bad, but it's probably because of the errors. Like it's if I just like if I just go like return nothing here, probably not going to get mad at me anymore. Oh no, I did make it mad at me, which is interesting because right now we just have an index file that returns nothing. Okay. Does get to here though. Why is it mad at me? Well, let's not worry about that. Let's worry about the loader. We can't worry about the loader because we can't actually see the loader running. Let's see if we can see loader running. Not seeing loader running. Beautiful. Okay. So, okay, empty index or whatever, wildcard component. Route is slash. Let's what happens if we make route new? No. Okay. So it's complaining at me that the HTML service to contain a matching head in HTML. Okay. So what are we actually sending? I wonder if this is because I like remove the meta and like what is, so this is fine, this is fine, this is fine, this is fine. Okay. So okay. Let's remove the children here. Let's just no? Okay. Yeah. Let's just remove the children here for a second to ensure that we get out. Okay. interesting. I figured if we just like didn't bother rendering anything, like just render the nav, it would just stop complaining at us. There's nothing special in this nav. It is literally just a component. Okay, well, let's not render the nav too. Okay, see? Okay, so the request is being made now. Okay, so it's the nav that's broken? Nav's fine too. Okay, so it is children. So we are seeing the request on the server. Not sure what breaks here. If I go children, anyways, we can see now what we have. We have the request, we have the context, and we have the params. Okay, sweet. Nice, and you can see the params. That's beautiful. See, star blank. That's how you get the params. Okay, so we've got what we need. Awesome. So from here, I want params with param star that I'm actually looking for. Because let's go back to solid. Okay. Copy this for a second. This is not going to be the same, but it's a start. So get rid of the functions. So it's params star that I want. Interesting, because it's not a legal character. So we want star or top, and then I want to get the query off of this. Let's do one more experiment with args before we move on. So I probably, again, I'm going to break everything, knowing me. Just comment this out. Console.log args. I should have done this experiment before. Okay, so let's add like page equals to this. What do we get? Does it pass this along to me in a way that I can get at it easily? Okay. Because like I know React Router has like use search params, but I was thinking that I might see it here. Let's double check that it's not like some other thing. Let's do jobs. Okay. I'm gonna have to do work myself to get the queries off the query parameters. Okay, does request have a URL on it? I'm just not seeing. Oh, right. Args 0 request. I don't know why I'm spreading anymore. I already know that it only has one thing on it. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to parse. I mean, maybe we can look, but otherwise, I'm just going to parse the query params myself. I mean, it's not too difficult thing to do. Yeah, let's go here. Docs. Not conventions. I want data loading. Route params. How about route query params? Say search. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is what I meant by it's not hard to parse this myself. They're just like use the platform. See, this is what use the platform means. It means it means exactly this. It's a request. Interesting that they give you the convenience of for the params, but yeah. So I want page is page, and then or one, and I guess it's make it a number, and then beautiful, and then okay. This is going to be JSON. This when we're all done. Okay. All right. Okay, and then we just need to set up our API. So I'm just going to make top level. I'm going to make a new file, and I'm just going to call it api.ts. And from here, we should be able to just what do I do? API.ts, sure. I already kind of. I wonder how they're going to handle fetch. I'm going to trust that they can handle fetch. Is server. It's always server. So we don't actually have to worry about that. We're just going to assume anything that says is server is true is just going to be necessary here. So we're just going to do this. And okay. And then what we need to do in our route here is just pass it. So yeah, this becomes const stories equals await fetch API this fun thing. And then this becomes the async function. And then we just need map stories, which is this mapping because the URLs don't match what actually the Hackernews APIs use. So type is not a function, age is not a function. God, I hate TypeScript. Shut up. Let's go away. It's complaining because it's a string and it's not like exactly one of these values. So like I can. I could like make a union type out of it or type of something or other. There's so many comments in the comment thing that people are probably, but no, people are just chatting with themselves. I'm glad there's some interesting conversation going on in the chat. Okay, so why can't I just make this? Yeah, that's what I tried it. It didn't work. I was like, as any, please. Maybe I can do this one as any. As any. Way. Can any this is why TypeScript is my favorite language. Like maybe this didn't need to be a const. Like maybe this is just being annoying. Yeah, you're right. That's the solution to every problem. Nope. Oh, nice. I mean, it seems to be ignoring TypeScript, so that makes me happy. Okay, yeah, so it's complaining about the fetch request because it's not getting the right data. Okay, so this is actually going through. The problem is it doesn't the type will yeah, let's console log here. Or let's see what we're getting here. Console.log page and type. Printed. No, TypeScript hates me. It's interesting though. It's actually not getting to the console log again anymore. Must have. All right. Yeah. Okay. Type as. Type as key of map. Just get rid of the annoying stuff. Okay. Okay. Well, let's see if we can get to a state where stuff console logs again. Okay. It console logs here, but something I'm doing below here is pissing it off. Because it's not getting to this one. Although it is fetching it. Or see, that must be a nice world you live in. This is not the first time I've had stuff like this happen. This happens like all the time to me. Okay. So what is our problem? It's called console log debugging. Okay, well, if you can get here, then hopefully you can get here. And oh, it's because type's undefined. Just being dumb. Right. Oh no, it's here. It's T jobs 2. So why is node fetch thinking that why am I passing undefined here? Because jobs oh, that's interesting. How is it? Oh, it's because I typed it myself. I'm just being dumb. So I'm sorry, guys. If I'd actually gone to job, it would have worked. It's just it's because I typed it myself and it wasn't matching the map. That's on me. Sorry, that is completely on me. This is why you code live on stream with something you have not tried before, so you can show people all the great stuff. Okay, sweet. Okay, so other than TypeScript being a jackass, we are actually okay. And then let it rip. Okay, so there is something that I've fundamentally done wrong with the application structure that is making Remix upset at me, which is unfortunate, because what's happening here is if we go to the network tab and look at the page as it's loaded, we essentially render the header and no children. Why is there no children coming from the server? Did I do something here? No, wrong app. So why is there no children coming from the server? Children, layout component into outlet. Okay. New. Sweet. So this actually works. The problem is it's not handling slash properly. Basically, I was trying to get a catch-all route, and slash is nothing. Index is returning. Is this something I'm doing, or is it's the way that the router is matching? He would know. This guy. You want to thank someone for solid app router? It's this guy. But you know, okay. Let's ignore that for a second. What we built actually works. So we did build it. We lost a few people along the way, a few casualties to the issues I was having, but oh right, it's React. It's complaining about keys. Man, I haven't dealt with this in years. Oh, this is fun. There's keys. Oh man, and you want keys, because if you don't put a key, like you definitely want keys. Story.id, man, I haven't seen a key for ages. Whew. Fun. I don't know why it's complaining about that, but we're not gonna. Hopefully, we don't have to worry about that warning. So interestingly enough, this all works. And if we go to the, yeah, it's just the router doesn't work this way. Okay. Whew, that's interesting. Because the whole reason I did it this way using the star route was because I was hoping the star route would match on this, but it doesn't. So my expectations were a little bit different there. Okay, but it's, as I said, this is honestly this is the app I want to build here. I'm not going to bother with anything beyond that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a dummy page for the, like, I don't think I'm going to bother with wait, did it just delete the whole folder? Of course it did. God, VSCode's awesome, isn't it? Did you guys catch that? It deleted the whole folder with all the files in it, and then then when I restored it, it didn't bring the files back. I mean, it didn't remove most of our work, to be fair, like the important work, but it did remove the story component, which is unfortunate, because I can't undo to it, which means when we can do this again, it's just going to take me 3 minutes. Sorry about this. We lost the nav and the story. Oh man, that's because I wanted to clean up. Okay, sorry people. I'm just going to do this really quickly again. Now that I know that what we're doing, this will be, actually I was pretty fast last time, but this will be just the tiniest bit faster. It was definitely really cool how similar the pattern is here. that it was really easy for us to just convert stuff from solid to React. The only thing is like, it's like, can we get a code mod to ternary all the show components here? Because man, that would have been nice. Definitely, because yeah, there's just no quick way to do this. I think Microsoft doesn't like me. Yeah, that's so unfortunate. You like select something and then it's like no, it's not quite what you selected. And I probably should have been paying more attention, admittedly, but like, no. And then at least this part was like really easy. Where's the fallback? There's the fallback. Because everything's off props for this part of it, so I didn't even have to do any signal transformation or anything. So this is like, this is a place where, other than the kind of clunky ternaries we're doing here, solid and React are identical. So sorry everyone. It's like perfect time for this to happen, since I get everything working. I don't know if someone in the chat wants to research and figure out how we can do the index route. I'd be pretty stoked about that. It doesn't look like it's giving me a catch-all top level that catches the index route, which again doesn't surprise me because I actually hit this before with was it Ember router. The algorithm that they used didn't match star against index, and I had to change it when I wrote my own routers, but because it just seemed, you know, that reasonable use case. So, you know what, let's just go this way. But I can understand why that might not be the case. This one's actually just a and there, add document, and then nav. This one's way easier. It's just class name, href2, except for the last one. I'll change it back. This one's a real href. I'm gathering this is just because of legacy, because given how like use the platform they are on the Remix team, I think if they did it again, I suspect they wouldn't use 2 on the link component. It's just like it's being different for like no reason. When you could, you know what I mean? Like this could be href and it would just feel more natural. Bang. Okay. Hackernews demo working, except for this weird warning that I don't know why that's happening. But essentially here, now the only thing is this root route doesn't match properly. So what we need is, the problem is this is how wildcard as I can get. So I don't think I can do this without using some different type of routing. Like either I copy the file, which, you know, knowing me actually is something, you know what, that is completely something I would do. I for something like this, I don't feel like it's worth wasting people's time by me like looking things up, right? I mean, I could spend a minute looking things up, but generally speaking, I mean, this makes life really easy. This just becomes top. This param stuff. With top news. mean, there you go. I mean, this is taking things a bit too extreme. You know, the whole thing about wet versus dry code bases. I have no problem with duplicating, but in this case, it is actually the exact same thing. So that's not a fair thing. I think they actually have a way of defining routes. Let's just play this, because I think they have a way of actually saying like, hey, you can also add routes and not bother with just the file-based routing. You know, I know it. Yeah, we already did that. Yeah. No, not that. What else do we have? Not found handling. Yeah, see, it's because I'm not. Yeah, it's because the error handling can, like, sometimes you use star routes as like sort of error handling. I'm pretty sure there is a, because I need to get it into the same router is the thing. I can't just make like a new routes component. I need to actually essentially get it into the same router. Yeah, you know what? I didn't figure it out. So we're not going to worry about that. We're just going to, that's enough time on that. Let's take this to the next step. Okay. So ta-da, we have a remix app, sources, console, elements, network. Okay, yeah. So I just want to, can we build this for real and not do dev? That's what the README is for, right? What's the next step? npm run build. All right, beautiful. npm run start. Okay, beautiful. Okay. No, that can't be right. It is right. Crap. That's just a second. Is it just a second? It is gzip. Can that be okay? JavaScript. Refresh. What? Oh, React DevTools. Die in a burning pit. React DevTools. I'm like, what? It's funny because it. Yeah, this is my browser extension stuff. Can I just kill React DevTools? Like manage extensions. Off. Go away with React DevTools. It's funny, I forgot I even had that. As I said, I haven't probably used it in years. All right, let's do this. Better, okay. 63.9 kilobytes. Payload. Okay. I always like checking this to kind of understand the initial payload. For React app, that's not bad, actually. The Next.js demo that I saw was about 120. I think if someone did it now, they could do a little bit smaller. Svelte is 13.5 kilobytes. Solid is 13.6 kilobytes. I think I saw a Preact one at about 22 kilobytes. And yeah, that's not bad on pure size. Can we deploy this sucker? That's probably the next question, right? Because I want to put this somewhere so that we can actually try it out in a real deployment environment. Guess the other thing is I want to do, yeah, okay. So they're smart enough to do the module preload on the chunks, and let's see what they do here. So the module preload on the chunks here. Oh right, I didn't. Okay, let's do a little experiment here. What I didn't do that I should do is, where do these go to? These go to stories/ID. Okay, let's make a quick route here that's just going to be like not complete yet, and it's just going to be folder stories, and then new file $, right? And then we'll just like go export default story, whatever, and just have it like return div right here. I'm maybe naming it just not implemented. The reason I'm doing this is I just want to check really quick what happens when we go here. Oh, it's stories plural. No, it is plural. Okay, so that's solid version, plural, for default. Yet. Oh, that's interesting, because there's no data loader on this route. So I wouldn't expect it to match on it because it's more specific than this route. Okay, let's just make sure this is clean slate, because what should be happening is it, assuming that it can match on stories ID, this should take prevalence over the star match, which means that and there's no matching here, so this should just be a straight up nested router. Unless I screwed up something on their conventions. Let's go back to route file names. Nested URLs, but not nested routes. Yeah, there's no nested thing. So this should be this. Do they do anything Oh, you are right. I'm no longer in dev mode. Silly me. Let's just double check that in dev mode. This is obviously great. Not implemented. Thank you. Thank you. Sometimes you do stuff like this. Thank you. All right, so when we could probably implement that page pretty quickly, but let's just for now leave it at that. And the reason I want to do this is I want to see how it handles preloading. Like, how aggressively does it preload by default? Like, if I click to this page, does it load another chunk? Okay, good, it does. Okay, so it is only reloading the chunks that are on that page. So this 64.4 kilobytes are real. It's funny that it just got bigger though. You know, like I added a page and the main bundle got bigger for some reason. Anyway, okay. Interesting enough. Okay, so yeah, how do we deploy? I guess this is a remix project, so I can't just get away with. Yeah, I wonder if I like started the project in the wrong mode. Like, I guess the question is, if you let's read the README. If you go through this thing and you make it, okay, it is just a node server. I see. Or there's just saying pick up and drop the app. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Look. Okay. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna keep both copies so I don't have an accidental VSCode malfunction again. But we're going to go back and we're gonna go npx create remix at latest, and we're going to pick up that cool animation again, and we're going to call it remix Hackernews. and we're going to make a Netlify app. And it's going to be TypeScript and sure, npm install. We didn't need any other outside dependencies. Okay. Okay, sweet. And then I'm going to open up a new VSCode window. And while there's all those great commands, actually, yeah, you know what? I'm hopeless with that stuff. So let's just, I grew up on Windows. I apologize to everyone. I used Windows for years. I never had any problem with it. I'm used to GUIs, so I am not going to run a terminal commands right now. I am just going to basically wholesale gut the app folder and go here to this project and copy this app folder. I love that VS Code like at least lets you do stuff like this, like outside there. And then let's read the README. Okay. Yeah, I already have the CLI. Let's see if I'm logged in. Yeah, I'm already logged in. Of course I am. Okay, perfect. And is that all I need to do? Netlify init. Sure. Remix Hackernews. All right. And then tell Netlify to do some stuff. Beautiful. And then let's just, before we do anything, let's just make sure our app still runs. Can probably, well, let's make sure our app runs before we do anything. Okay, our app still runs. Okay. This one, solid, I'll leave open for a minute. This remix one we can close. And then this is our new remix Hackernews one. Okay, perfect. So it works. npm run build, npm run start. Let's just make sure. Oh, npm start, really? No, what did I do? Oh, it's because the Netlify. I guess the way you start in each is going to be different based on the adapter. We have similar kind of adapters in Solid Start, except I alias them all to npm run start. But I have to admit, they don't all work beautifully because there's like different preview deploys and all that stuff. Okay, so let's just Netlify deploy. Nice. And let's go to the draft website. And we have a wonderful remix Hackernews example. And actually, you know what? Let's just do it all the way. Let's go to prod. While we're doing that, I'm going to load up solid HN. Okay. Oh, I'm going to do any of that. Let's do this. Beautiful. Okay, sweet. Actually, let's go to Twitter and just scroll down really, really fast, because what I want to do is I just like looking at stuff. So what I'm going to do here is have some fun with this. Oh yeah, here we go. I've never done this, so honest. See? Oh, built with solid. Ooh, let's fix that. Sorry. Let's fix that really quick. App. I think I fixed some of this stuff previously when we were doing this stuff, but I think what happened was because I deleted the component folder by accident. So let's fix that. Built with remix and what is it? Remix.run. No HTTPS on that. That sounds terrible. What's their website? Remix.run. Yeah. Let's fix that real quick. All right. Cool. Okay. See, I think Remix has got like a bunch of really cool stuff, and they've really thought about how they deliver the experience. This is the area I'm not as strong in these days, just to kind of understand. Yeah. Okay. So that's resources. Let's talk network tab. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's go all. Okay. Let's do one of these. Okay. Let's do the dev timeline. What are we dealing with here? All right. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to zoom out. I can't see anything when it's so thing. So hopefully you can see what's going on. Beautiful. Right. So we got a first paint event network. Yeah, all the resources come out front, then pay by account, I guess. So we can ignore network for the most part. Yeah, first paint event coming in at 306. First contentful paint. Lowest common 306, DLC, and then final load event 398. But largest contentful paint, that's what we care about mostly. 306. Let's do this a couple more times. I just want to get a feel for this. Sometimes 348. Yeah, it's all the same. I forgot that we're not using streaming. Netlify uses AWS functions, doesn't support streaming, so like this is just the core experience. I'm just kind of get an idea here. It's always interesting to see like the work being done by React or any kind of framework when they do hydration. This is what Misko's showing when he's doing the quick demos, right? Because you can kind of see these long tails where everything's happening. And the trickiest part, obviously, with async rendering is you don't get to do much work until later. Okay, so that's cool. That gives me kind of a ballpark. Let's see how we're doing here. I just want to let's do one of these. I imagine these are going to be really similar. 298. Let's just do another one. Yeah, this one's for 336 this time. A little more. 277. Okay. Yeah, the biggest thing is like everyone's going to ace a lighthouse score with a site this simplistic, right? 348. It's interesting though, because when does the final, like when does the hydration end? And I think for the most part all that work is happening up front. Like let's look at these timelines. Yeah, I mean, what's this one at 314? Let's switch through a few of these different timelines and look at like the fastest one was our first one, so we'll use that one. And then everything's done by 3:39 or this one was actually end up being the actual fast one. Actually, we should probably look to here. So about 3:20. Okay. And then same kind of, well, actually, I guess this is where the hit happens. This is let me do this again. Because the first paint, no, that was a bad run. We're not going to count that one. Let's try this again. First paint is, yeah, that's a good one. And the load is 414. Yeah. So that's interesting. It takes like a whole extra 100 milliseconds for React to hydrate. You don't always get to kind of do these sort of comparisons, but like the initial page load is actually very similar to the time and server rendering. Like this is something I like to sometimes point out to people, because if you look at benchmarks, Solid's like 10 times faster rendering than React, but it doesn't actually matter. The latency here is on the data fetching to the API, and then at that point, you know, the load timing is going to really depend on how much hydration work you need to do. So that's kind of like that. But let's see what happens. Like, does this get exaggerated or worse if someone's on a bad network? Let's do a couple fast 3Gs and just take a look and see how that kind of affects our experience here. So fast 3G is not the slowest network, but it's slow enough. You gotta, okay, let's go. Yeah. Look at this baby, fast 3G, very fast, 1268. And yeah, it's just gonna be a single number. This is why I like streaming, because the way it works on different networks is a little bit cooler. Okay, let's do this, fast 3G, run again. All right. All right. Again, about 1270, very similar. And then 16 for document finish. 13. Oh yeah, wow. Is that because of the script loading time? Let's run these two again. That's 300 milliseconds difference. It's like getting close to half a second difference. That must be just a blip. Let's do that again. Because like this isn't CPU, this is just network. Yeah, what do we got here? 11. Yeah, that was just a blip. Oh no, 16. What the? Interesting. Huh. Well, this isn't Remix's fault, I'm sure. This is React, but that's interesting. That is like a huge difference in hydration time. Like hundreds of, like, for really like a nothing app, but like 300 milliseconds. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Well, okay, but I mean the core thing is this is just React server rendering and stuff. Like, I mean, this, I imagine when they move the Preact or whatever, we have kind of different numbers here. But mostly it was really easy to build this page. We just, you know, like look at this. Sorry, that's the old one. We were able to just like go in, build our routes exactly how we wanted to, just load the data, just fetch it right in here, use the data, and then it just works. I like this pattern a lot. I especially like it being in the same file. It just feels really connected, and like there's no use effect or anything. This is like really like simple to do. You can just picture just authoring your pages that way. I think I might go and borrow this for Solid. Actually, I really like this loader thing. If I can, as I said, it's interesting because it's non-granular, but maybe that's fine. Like if you look here, the Solid example, the component's the same, but then we put the data in a separate function and it's a little bit different. I guess it's kind of the same thing, but really cool pattern to just kind of like be able to use the, sorry, that's the Solid one again. Sorry, to use the data this way and just have it like just like this makes data fetching so much easier. I don't know. Anything else anyone wants me to try? This stream's already a bit longer than I was originally intended, but I think it kind of got a feel for stuff. I especially think I need to dig more into the actions a little bit and understand that a bit, especially like the way you can return JSON or redirects. I think that's like brilliant, and like this common API that they've offered here. The way, yeah, it just JSON redirect works for loaders, works for actions very consistently. I think the pattern's great. I didn't do optimistic form updates. That's probably like the next place that I really want to dig into. I was just curious about if how like the deployment story, or like how I mean, truthfully, like, as I said, it's still React under the hood. So like you can't fundamentally change the math, but I think this will really help people author apps in a better way. So I think that's pretty cool. We deployed our Netlify app, and I'll just post this in the chat in case anyone wants to try it. I might actually go and implement the rest of the Hackernews demo. Give people a chance to kind of play with it more. But I think this gives me groundwork. It's always hard because there's different APIs. I'm sure there's faster APIs and stuff, but this gives a kind of level playing ground, and you can kind of see yourself. As I said, it's not like this site is going to be fast. Like let's just do this, right? Like easy. All right, let's run it one more time. I'm sure that was a blip. Or maybe not. Okay. I mean, these scores are good. I don't know why it's giving it 99. I guess it's the time to interactive. I guess it's just the hydration that's doing it, which is really unfortunate because it's not Remix's fault at all. Yeah, desktop's fine. Like these numbers are good numbers. I think this is the killer right there, because like if you like, I'll show you actually. These numbers are all going to be almost identical except for that. I mean, it's also kind of maybe an unfair thing. It's not just the hydration time. It's like you're comparing a 14 kilobyte demo with a 64 kilobyte demo, right? Yeah. See, look, these loading times weren't actually much different, but one, like, it's basically interactive immediately at the time the content loads instead of almost half a second later. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be the biggest difference here. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure that any React framework is going to really escape that, honestly. The Next.js demo. Well, actually, do I even have? Because have you seen this? Not with delays. This is the Vercel Next.js demo. I don't think it's quite the same thing, right? But let's just feed that in too. Just why not? Here's server components and streaming and all the bells and whistles with React. To be fair, I think this demo can be optimized more, but yeah. Wow. I mean, this is interesting, but this is it. Time to interactive. Little gut punch. Yeah, no, I mean that definitely is a hit. I mean these are still 99s. It's just like 100 in Lighthouse for a site this, like for a demo like this, is table stakes. You know what I mean? So it's or like 99, like this kind of range. It's just this is definitely where slowdown is, and where optimization. I like on a desktop, you're not going to notice it. Well, that is, but yeah, no. Yeah, no, definitely. And it already has, if I haven't been clear. The reason I was able to port stuff so easily across when you're watching the demos was because like this whole React router influence thing is the same in Solid, and they call use loader data. We call it use data. Like these patterns are already like I look at Remix I said at the beginning with great detail. I think I want to look at the actions and see, you know, in the forms and see what I can do there. But like the nested routing was already a thing. Yeah, actually, honestly, before even Remix, but and this like very similar kind of mentality, and seeing such similarity, it's easy to kind of like for us to like look at and see where tweaking. I think it's really awesome. Actually, I think the API and the experience part, it just makes me giddy to look at like just how they're using the request objects and the things that are already there and not inventing this thing. And I think the coolest thing, it's in a demo, I didn't get to do it today, is the optimistic updates. The fact that it's just as simple as using a hook to get the form submission is just brilliant. It's such a simple solution that just simplifies like the whole thing. Like I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have something like that within the next 6 months. It's such a really cool thing. It's to see that kind of movement. Yes, you can't. I mean, I wonder though if everyone adopted Party Town, like the offloading the scripts, how much of a difference certain types of hydration is. Well, you know, like, yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, how many more Hackernews demos can I find? Marko News. Let's see if we. I mean, I wrote this one, so that's not really looking very far, but you know that it's the same. Oh, freaking Heroku. You know, never mind. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's much else to do on the performance thing at this point. I think that where you're going to feel this is larger apps. Just having a better architecture is just going to be better. You know, just in terms of making sure you parallelize that data fetching like we talked about earlier and whatnot. Yeah, I think that's enough on the page insights. But yeah, the patterns are great. All in all, it was really easy to build this stuff with Remix, and I look forward to seeing new projects being built in and find new interest, like just kind of really dig into the APIs to understand like what they're doing and how they work. I think this is like a reverse engineering paradise, so to speak. So I'm pretty excited about that. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Marko. I could, there's something weird, and I watched the logs on the demo. I seriously, I watched the logs on the demo. I mean, maybe we can get in here. And like, it's the stupidest thing ever. Oh, really? Oh, come on. Later, yes, later. No security for me. Okay. And it's like, it just fails at some point on one of the Ajax requests in the background, and then just crashes the server and it stays crashed forever. So honestly, I will have to fix this, but one little trick we can do is we can just deploy this right now for 2 seconds and get this back. So just long enough to test it. Where was it? Oh. Almost on Heroku, and like I don't know if Heroku doesn't have it's still building. Heroku is like doesn't have quite some same performance stuff as some of the serverless functions and whatnot. We're gonna get a new demo that's gonna be a lot nicer, but man, Heroku was such a game changer for its time, but think of how things work now. I did a stream all about deployments. It's just so easy now with everything to just go serverless, and the new stuff like Vercel's been doing with like the file system stuff. is just insane. I've shown this demo before. In case people have missed it, I wanted to show you something. You know how we always sit here and we look at this stuff and we go, oh, way. The coolest thing about the Marko version of this demo is that there's 0 kilobytes of JavaScript, because even though it all works, it's using an MPA based thing, so it actually does all full page re-renders all the time. And sure, you can do that with Remix or Solid Start and just remove the script tag. But the difference with Marko is when you go somewhere where it doesn't need the JavaScript, it does have the JavaScript. It's not binary like no or not. You just bring in the JavaScript you need as you need it, which is why Marko, Quick, Astro are so powerful. But before we tempt fate by waiting too long, let's just look what this actually means. This is probably, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if this is actually going to have as big of an impact, because when you're dealing with like a Hackernews demo and you're already so close to the thing, yeah, like I don't know why this is a low speed index. I blame Heroku, but this has a faster first contentful paint, largest contentful paint, and time to interactive than anything that we've talked about. Right. But I blame Heroku here for this, because this isn't based on any of that. And I think if this was on, well, I mean, we can see right here. Let's look at the performance time of when this loads. If it's the front loading the issue, then you know it's a problem, right? Because it's sure the hell not hydration. Yeah, look, this is all done by 246. Like, that's 50 milliseconds faster than the Solid example, and 150 milliseconds faster than the Remix on a fast network. You slow things down and it gets even more exaggerated. But yeah, like, it's Google just being biased. Like, what the hell does that mean? Anyway, can't you bring JS per page with React? Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I mean, not well. How exactly? Like, from the server, you can make that decision, but otherwise, you're client-side routing. So I guess you could choose not to include that bundle, but like the difference is like it's, yeah. I mean, sure, you can just, based on the route, choose whether to include the script on the page or not. That's basically it. But it's interesting because, like, and this is actually how SvelteKit and that do. It's just so binary. Like, you can't just, like, because in that Marko page, we weren't including the JavaScript for the page. Sorry, to be clear. When I went here, when I switched here, this is not JavaScript for the whole page. It did bring in the library at that time, which is why there's this bigger chunk. This is Marko. It's 13.9 kilobytes, but the JavaScript being brought in for this page is literally just for the comment component. Like, it doesn't even ship all the JavaScript. Is it? So per page is just very clunky. I mean, research is being done here, but generally today, Remix, Next, SvelteKit, Solid Start, like, we're pretty much trapped to ship all the JavaScript or ship none of the JavaScript. Like, there's some tricks that we're working on with Solid, and Vue is doing similar things. But yes, if you use Astro, then you basically get like a poor man's Marko in a sense, which is fine, because essentially it's probably good enough, probably. But like, I have a separate stream where I talked about this stuff from Marko, where you, like, Astro has the islands and you're thinking about it, and Quick has the quick hooks and you're thinking about it. The difference with Marko is you just like write the app and then just presto, you get this for free without even doing anything. But that's a different stream and off topic for this. But yeah, essentially just kind of showing some kind of different characteristics and stuff. So this fundamentally changes the characteristics of how the page loads versus not, right? MPAs are just fundamentally different. Quick is working on kind of bridging the gap, and Marko and stuff. And we'll see when we get there. There's a lot of really cool technologies coming out that are going to get there. But like today, we basically have single page apps that know how to remove the script tag or not. And we have multi-page apps that are pretty much stuck in multi-page zone, but they have ability to ship significantly less JavaScript while offering a consistent JavaScript build environment. Yes, I will do a Marko stream coming up. Yes, and especially when I want to talk, like there's so much. I could talk about Marko today, which is pretty crazy anyway, but I actually want to do a stream about Marko 6 because people are getting excited about Quick and they should be. But I think Marko 6 will blow their minds. It's like combining elements of that with Marko's compiler, like Svelte, and just like look, it's really incredible stuff. We've taken the ideas of resumable hydration and automatic analysis to a whole different level. So I look forward to being able to do a stream on that. As I said, right now though, there is still very like Hackernews is a perfect Marko demo, so to speak, and maybe a less perfect remix or solid demo because like this is an MPA in its at heart. Like you don't need a lot of JavaScript here. You don't need much interaction. It's this is a good demo for that. Basically, if you're building a simple site, you couldn't go better than Marko, right? It's if you're building Twitter today, I probably wouldn't suggest using Marko. You could, but like there's different right now, and I think what's interesting is it's converging, right? Like, but which is like the hashtag transitional apps. It's just we are still pretty far away from it converging, and like if maybe I'll use Excalidraw to emphasize this point. A lot of people are going to build the kind of sites with Next or Next anyway if it's not the right use case. Oh yeah, of course they are. Yeah, whatever. I mean, but and in a lot of cases it won't be that bad because the site will be simple. Like I like using smaller frameworks. I think SvelteKit or Solid Start are going to like have a key in that zone because like okay, so you loaded 10 or 15 kilobytes of JavaScript. Like it's not the end of the world. Like this is mattering. Like if you have a business based on it, like why do you think Builder built Quick? eBay built Marko. See a pattern? Like if you actually like if you want e-commerce, if that's what you're about, you want fast page speeds, like yeah, I feel like I've already demonstrated that, but what I'm trying to get at is if we have a line here, in my opinion, like and this is the golden center here, right? Like where we're like, okay, MPAs and it's more like a range, but if MPAs and yeah, it's not that, it's a range. If this is the golden center where we've merged MPAs and single page apps and everything in this lovely zone, right now, like client-side rendering, like which was like the starting point of all this stuff is here, right? And like Rails is kind of over here, right? Hotwire is kind of like here. So yeah, maybe I should use labels and stuff while I'm doing this, but so what did I say? Rails, CSR, Hotwire, Marko 6 and Quick are like here. Okay. Quick, Marko 6 are like here. And okay, let's put some lines over here. This line here is like Next.js. And this line here is like Svelte kit remix solid start. So like in my mind, this is like there's some view and some stuff in here, but in my mind, this is sort of like where the spectrum is sitting. Like there's this idea of this transitional perfect app here, and like the gap here is like this, and we're like on the solid Svelte side are like way over, not even like halfway yet, and there's just we're all going to get there, but it's some before others, if that makes sense. To be fair, Next.js has been moving the line sideways, so they're coming right up next to us over here in Solid Start Remix Svelte Kit Zone a little bit. Like, but you kind of this is the spectrum from my perspective of what it's going to look like, because we're seeing a mad rush towards the center, and it's just, I mean, the tricky part that I had, and I'm sorry, I'm a huge fan of Rich Harris and all that stuff, is he basically did this. And was like, hashtag transitional apps. Sorry, I missed a line on this side. Astro is right. Sorry, Astro, I missed Astro, and Isles and all them. They're like right here. Let's use black. Yeah, they're like right here. Astro and Isles and stuff. They're right here. Okay, so let's move this so it's a little bit more readable. Okay, so here's our spectrum. Okay, this I didn't mean to be like mean or call Sam. This is just why I found like I had to say something about the transitional app stuff, because you have basically these frameworks that are sitting here looking at this mountain, and it's right in front of them. They're like, oh man, this is a big climb. Like it's like it's humongous, right? Like let's draw a mountain, right? So we have this big mountain, right? And you know, whatever. So you have like Astro and Marko all kind of like sitting here, you know, looking at the base of this mountain and going, how are we going to climb this mountain? And what you have on the other side here looks kind of like this. And maybe this dip is a little bit unfair. Like maybe it's more like that. And so let's put our guys on here. So this is Astro and Marko and all that here. And then this right here is like Solid Start and Next.js and Svelte. And they're just below the peak of the mountain in front of them. And they're like, oh, once we get here, it's that mountain right there. So they're picturing like this. They're like picturing that there's this like, I'll just get over here and it's just a little bit higher over here. But reality is it's like this. It's like it's a lot farther than it looks like. I mean, this is kind of a silly visualization, but this is, in my opinion, what the state of things are. These guys are just like, wow, this is going to be really hard. I don't know how long it's going to take. This is going to take a lot of work, but they see the mountain. This side is like, they see the mountain, but they don't see the ravine between them and the goal. I hope that makes sense to people. This is just my take on things. I obviously didn't draw this in the article. I'm just saying, like, there is a long way to go, and I think it's awesome that we're climbing the mountain, because the truth of the matter is, a couple of years ago, we were down here, right? Collectively in JavaScript land, we were down here, and we're just like, we weren't even looking that way. We're like, oh, there's some mountains over there. Like, screw that mountain. We're just playing here, right? Right. And I think it's awesome. Like, this is still a steep climb. Like, I think this growth, you know, I think doing this is amazing. But like, we got further to go. So hopefully people can appreciate my terrible drawings, but you know, it's okay. If you want to, you might be like, oh, well, crap, what's the next new framework that I should learn or whatever? And the thing is, it's okay that not everything has to live here or live over here or live over here. Like, it's perfectly fine that you're like, oh, I'm going to do something over here, and oh, I'm going to do something over here. It's perfectly okay. You don't need to like absorb the whole space. But you know, everyone's looking for the there must be one kind of thing. I just think it's okay. But yeah, this is my perspective. I'm sure people will disagree, but this is my perspective. I know. Anyway, I was trying to do shorter streams, but this ended up being a longer stream again. So thank you for joining. I'm going to give people like one last chance to ask any questions or whatnot, but I think I already made my long tangent on this stuff. But you know, I know sometimes people are kind of interested in these topics, so I'll give them a chance. But yeah, I mean, a lot of exciting stuff going. I mean, as long as we're climbing mountains, exciting stuff is happening. Okay, sure. I'm going to do this more in detail on a future stream, but quick answer to this is, even when Marko 6 first comes out, we're going to have partial hydration. We're going to have async handling, all that stuff. Lazy loading is going to take a little bit more work, even though the approach to resumable hydration would allow for out of order hydration. We're going to need to figure out ways to manage lazy loading and actually develop techniques. Like, if we do want to do partial client-side routing or whatever, we're going to actually have to build stuff to leverage it, right? Like, Marko 6 will have the technology. That's what I say. And Quick, it's the same reason why Quick isn't in here. Quick can technically already do that. Like, it can already like start as a multi-page app, just load the code you want, navigate to a new page, and then load that page, do it all client-side. It already has a way to actually transition. But you need specialized routers to handle this. You need basically a way to mitigate lazy loading and not death by 1,000 cuts. Like, Quick has an optimizer that they're using to figure out how to bundle stuff. It's really interesting. I didn't get to talk about this last time, but they actually have set it up so they use your own analytics to figure out how to code split bundles based on how users click on your website. And that's fine for the like basic case, but the problem is you have to be, what if you click to a whole page that needs to be re-rendered from scratch? The way Quick split up, depending, you might need to load, I don't know, like hundreds of JavaScript bundles. So figure out the best strategies and ways to automate that and like handle those different scenarios is what's going to be the game. And you're either going to look at doing it, you know, manually, which is incredibly hard. This is why you know, it's something like Astro might not make that climb ever. You're going to look at compilers, which will automate it for you, which is what Marko's looking at, or you can look at analytics data, which is what Quick's doing. But as I said, when you go to actually navigate to the next page, you kind of got to figure out how to approach this. And the thing is, Quick's approach is hyper lazy loading. So what that means is like, you need to, like, it's sure you can split stuff apart, but then you can bring stuff back together if you want. So don't split as granularly, but it's their decision of how to split stuff is based purely off usage, off lazy loading. Like, they don't know a component will never load, or if it needs to be loaded, or all that stuff. Whereas like the compiler approach, is taking the opposite thing. It goes, okay, we know exactly what JavaScript we need, but we don't know when we need to load it. So ultimately, when you want to make the transition from multi-page app to single-page app, I personally believe that knowing what JavaScript you need will be more important than the lazy load thing, because when you are faced with a new page, you need to, it would be better if you just ship the least amount of JavaScript you needed to begin with, rather than like death by 1,000 cuts, essentially. So like, I think there's gonna be a happy balance, but Quick might not know how to put the pieces together in a way that works for single page apps, is essentially the thing. Because at least version right now, I'm pretty sure they're going to move to compiler stuff. If you've seen mitosis, you know that there's people there who know how to handle compilers and stuff. Like they can take a React component and almost change it into any framework. So I see it coming, but I think it's the same reason. I think the core technologies are there to make the transition on that side. They just haven't figured out how to apply them. And I think about that, that's why I know that the single page app sides are even further, because the single page app side is just, they don't have those kind of smarts, right? They didn't build it into their systems at all. So like, it's a longer journey. So as I said, I know what the pieces are. I don't know how they're going to come together in a marketable product way necessarily. I'm making some, hedges with Marko. I'm not even sure if this center zone, like, it might be Everest. Like, I'm not even sure if we ever completely get there in the way completely thinking. Like, maybe we borrow something from Hotwire, like, or React Server components, and we end up kind of that is the strategy. But like, all I'm trying to say is that there needs to be more than the core mechanisms for us to get there. The MPA libraries have the pieces to make sure that we can basically serve the minimal JavaScript to begin with, but have a harder time transferring. So like, as I said, just maybe both sides will eventually learn from each other. That's the best we can hope for. But I don't think we'll realize this centerpiece like in the next year. It's going to take longer. Hopefully that answers the question, and I hope I haven't rambled too long. I think there's a lot of potential here. So that should be the real takeaway. I don't know if this should be the goal. Is the other side. I think it's good that we're all working towards this to make the web better, and maybe in the middle there is like that golden, like, this is the solution for the web, like the one. But I don't think that should stop people from innovating and using tools to make sense for them for their use cases. Is the thing. Like, we'll be waiting for quite some time to get there. I just want people to understand that these things are still moving and the definitions and stuff are still loose. Like, I'm sorry for JavaScript fatigue. I'm sorry for, people getting tired of this stuff, and wanting stability. But like, this is new territory. It's when people go, oh, React's discovered PHP or Rails or whatever. No, like, look at my graph here. That's we're not even talking about that. That's outside of the box, the real thing is that, you know, is somewhere here in this middle. Maybe we never fully bridge the gap, but that's what's going on anyway. Yeah, you know, but still, this will most people have had at an end of a stream. I'm gonna go. I need to save some material for next week. So let's have a good night, and till next time, keep an open mind. All right, see ya.